Broadcasting live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. Brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrow. I am Anthony Mormino coming to you live from the backstretch of Saratoga Race Course on what can only be defined as a flawless
Chamber
morning.
of Commerce, as they say.
Yes, as they say. And a quick note, which goes to show why we always say, stay tuned to the network. As Noah was building his ark yesterday morning during the Handicappers Report, by the time Seth's doing Racing Across America, it's sunshine and blue skies. And by the time Talking Horses comes on, races are going to be on the turf, and away we go.
I thought some of the turf would definitely.
Absolutely.
The way it was coming down at this time 24 hours ago, I thought there's no way. And then, as you say, as we got to the end of the second hour, heading towards 11 o'clock, it came out just as it is right now. As I look across to the front side, sun is shining, gorgeous day. And then, I went over to the front side, obviously, and it was a great afternoon.
Seth didn't get the memo that it's Independence Day today.
I should have gone red, white, and blue. I probably
You
should have
think?
gone red, white, and blue.
Battle of Saratoga, turning point of the war. You might have given it a little push. But kudos. I thought Andy certainly made a great point on Talking Horses for those of us who live in the Capital District, that even though it rained very hard and it's the beginning of the meet, you're thinking that's the kind of things. It has been dry for a while with high heat, so it might have been baked. And I'll tell you one thing, and the rails were down on the inner, so I'm a believer in the teletimer somewhat, even though
A couple instances yesterday were.
well, Frank Mirambati was beyond flawless with his thing. What in the literal? That was just a good call, but the rails were down on the inner. Some brilliant rides. Jockeys just, rocking him to sleep. And my horses seemed to all go following. The only one that figured it out was Moongate. One of the few, before the first 9 races, I think Moongate was the only one that was not favorite or second choice. $15. That kept me above water. The late double, I think, paid about $90. The parlay was $120. That's not good.
Ooh.
That's not good. Somebody had an opinion.
Well, I will give a big tip of the cap to our man Steve Vick, who had the winner in the finale yesterday. And I'm just looking; that was the longest price of the day, correct? Yeah,
15 to 1 on the morning line.
So darn pretty. That was his top pick for the DePaula play of the day. So, if folks, and we talked about it on the radio, and I was on with them yesterday as well. I said I like you and I both like that Mott runner in the last race at the top of the stretch. I thought was going to push on by.
No, by then that was Luis Saez had put them all to sleep.
Yeah, and yeah,
we had no chance. We're running after a fresh horse.
It still looked like he had the momentum, but you could see within a few strides of my thinking that.
Oh yeah, I mean,
but. I had not used the pick horse, but after talking on the radio with him, I boxed up the Exacta a little bit, and the Exacta was all right. The Exacta was just about $50 for a buck. So it wound up to be a nice result there. But again, a very, very nice result for the Bankroll team. To
almost out.
I texted him. I said, that's an insane day one. You have to be fairly close to break even.
Wow.
Halfway, something like that, halfway to break.
He's almost like 65% of the way.
Yeah.
If he does all of his shows.
$27.40, $10.60, and $6.30. And again, for folks who, there's still time. Go to the website. You can still sign up. Now you got
now
money
it's the lottery.
Yeah.
Now it's like I got to get picked.
50 folks.
We already got a bushel.
Go to the website, click on the promotions link, look for the play of the day link, and fill out the entry form. We'll be selecting it the next couple of days or so. But it's $50 to win, $20 to place, and $30 to place, and $20 to show. So it was a nice start. It had to be up near $700-800, I'm guessing. Just quickly guesstimating. But again, nice start. So congratulations to Mr. Vick on kicking off the DePaula Play of the day one in fine fashion.
4 turf races. Front end seemed to be a good place to
Yeah.
be. As I said, so darn pretty. I mean, I never had confidence. I mean, I can just see it evolving. And one thing that you kind of note that the teletimer, like I said, on the inner, I'm a believer, but you also kind of knew that inside, is often very good when it's fresh and a little firmness, and they're just, I was just like, he's not going to get tired. He's going to have, one of the things I always say about, the optical illusion of horse racing is most often the closing horse isn't running faster. There are a few horses, Turco Man, Easy Goer, that maybe truly did run faster, but it's the deceleration of the leaders that makes for the often optical illusion of, he's, picking him up and putting him down. No, he's running okay. But the other guy, though, is looking for an oxygen tent.
And deceleration. You're killing me with my dark horse play of the day, Swaggish in race number 9, who about mid-stretch, I thought, I feel pretty good here. I got in the lead, lead most of the way, and then talk about decel. He just kind of like, and held on for second, but it was close. But unfortunately, got past late. Otherwise, I thought dark horse play of the day. Again, mid-stretch, I thought it's going to be a day one for the dark horse plays. Although 6-1 on the morning line went off at about 7-2, I think, so didn't quite cut the odds in half, but we weren't quite getting the morning line. And as I say, mid-stretch, I thought, pretty good shape, but just you could see, you could tell the last 100 yards or so, this is not working out.
Could be interested to see how the figures, the buyer speed figures come out for this. I mean, we had, when you look at it, and I'm looking at these, we had some not typical, and this is what I alluded to yesterday. There's a lot of races that in whatever the old days wouldn't have been on the card, some slow times, etc. But I'm going to be very interested. Echo Sound. I said in that race, it was 3 horses. They bet it like it was the 3 horses, and it was the 3 horses. But Echo Sound was real good, and we'll see how I'd be intrigued to see what the victory ride gets for a buyer speed figure. And the other is when they say, Iron Orchard came as billed.
Yeah.
The first time starter,
Start
$500,000
to finish.
It was never a question.
3 to 5. We'll talk a little bit about that race in the next show. Next show, going to be joined by Don Little from Centennial Farms. They have Antiquarian in the Suburban a little bit later on. Today, Tom Amello will join us as well.
Colonial Affair.
And we'll talk Colonial Affair, preservationist, dad of Antiquarian.
30 years ago, jeez.
Yeah. Tom Amello will join us, though, and we're going to talk a little bit about that.
They had Rubiano, the sprint champion in '92.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wicked Strong. That they had a good.
Yeah, they've had a good run. 30 years.
But we'll talk a little bit about that Iron Orchard race. We'll also be joined by
Not much of a race.
Kate Masterson, director of National Museum of Racing. Will kind of set up the season across the street, National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame as well. So keep tuned for that. But we'll talk a little bit about that Iron Orchard race. Yeah, the breaks out of the gate and immediately Frank Maramati, I think, commented he was out there start to finish, and as you say,
just
as advertised.
Quick note in the Wild Applause Classic Q. Over the last almost 40 years, Seth, most of the times, and when I say most, I think all but one, when the mile record has been set or broken on the inner turf course, the rails have been up. So I'm highly suspicious, but Classic Q's 133 and change is believable because the rails were down. Now that, along with the fact that the turf course might have been pristine yesterday, and took advantage of that, and Classic Q down the road. As I said, 3 of the 4 turf races. Turf races were on the back end of the card yesterday. You had to be on the engine.
Yeah.
Or you could say those who were on the engine were real good yesterday.
Yeah, and we were talking with Mike Welch yesterday, talking about Classic Q, and had said Cassie, wasn't sure whether they'll go to the lead, and both Mike and I were looking at the PPs. And again, later on when I was on the radio with Bick, we were all kind of like, I don't know whether Classic Q's even going to have a choice. I think it's just going to wind up on the lead. Did the little duel as they came out of the gate, but got the lead and took them all the way around. Looked like the speed.
And that points out something that I like, and I think it's when you have no choice, I think it's easier for the jock. Yeah. It's like, there's fewer options than you think. I mean, that option might not be successful, but any other option is guaranteed to not be successful. Yeah, so it's like,
if you're looking at the PPs and you're you got to go.
Now, I was watching racing the other day, the Royal Ascot meet, and a jockey said something that I've always believed should happen. He purposely missed the break.
So
he wanted to drop over. I've said this about the mile and an eighth races.
Because sometimes you're waiting
the
for
45-degree angle right to the rail.
You realize out of the gate, I can't because there's another. Yeah.
Well, I will say this. I would have given you 50-1, and I was saying this at the time. Equus, Roddy and Mary Valenti's horse. You could see what the jock was trying to get position on the first turn, and the inside jock wasn't having anything to do with it. And in a 9-furlong race, his opportunity to win the race was gone in 2 furlongs. I mean, he was working at the half-mile pole, which is the beginning of the far turn, and it just got worse. But that race was over in the first furlong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the nature of race riding. But yeah, Jack, I purposely missed a break. And I thought about that many times. I'm like, and maybe because I'm a believer, particularly turf racing, that positioning is it's beyond important. I guess is what I want to say.
When you jump on a horse and you see them, 2-turn race, you see them going into the first turn 3 or 4 wide, and then
being used.
Wide down the backstretch and wide again on the set, and you're like
the famous Mormino WWW wide and wide in a race is nearly guaranteed to be fruitless.
As I say, if you're watching and you have the horse, it's frustrating. Let me hit you with some of the promos coming up here at Capital OTB over the weekend. Again, happy 4th of July. And you can celebrate down at the Clubhouse Racebook with a $100 win-a-bet contest. So enjoy all the afternoon racing today. Grab a little lunch at Black Bear. Take advantage of the $100 win-a-bet at the Clubhouse Racebook. Same location. That's Saturday. We'll have the King of the Hill contest. So keep that in mind. Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Bounty Bet returns on Saturday. Don't forget, Bounty Bet traditionally has been Fridays, but it'll be on Saturdays here during the meet. And it'll be the late pick 5 at Saratoga. So the Bounty Bet kicks off for the Saratoga meet on Saturday afternoon. And there's a $100 knockout challenge at the Clubhouse Racebook on Sunday. $100 knockout challenge. And also don't forget that the play of the day is open. If you'd like to take your shot to get on the team, go to capitalotb.com, click on the promotions link, look for the graphic, click on that, fill out the entry form. We will randomly select 50 people to put on the team. And again, Mr. Bick already put a nice little chunk of change in the treasure chest to kick things off. So keep that in mind as well.
Now, I forgot it's an odd number. So based on regular schedule, does Steve do 3 days a week or Kevin?
Steve. Kevin's Friday and Saturday. Steve's the
Steve
other
has
3 days.
more, so he's gonna have his percentage of crossing the finish line is a little bit lower, because I was thinking about that.
It's still pretty good for day one, though.
Oh my gosh, he's good for 3 weeks. That is pretty good.
Yeah.
We ready to rock and roll here on day 2 on Independence Day?
Got to chunk it to the DePaula play, right?
Oh, that's right. I
think it is Kevin today.
It's Saturday and Sunday, but he's doing Friday apparently.
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday?
He said yesterday he's Friday and Saturday.
Oh, well, let's go to the DePaula play of the day.
And they're off.
Chevrolet, Mazda, and Ford right now at the DePaula Auto Group. Take off the savings you need on the vehicle that you want. New cars, trucks, SUVs, hybrids, and all electric. Delivered with DePaula savings. And the DePaula Auto Group has hundreds of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Remember, DePaula can service any make and model and has over 100 service bays. So buy DePaula. Think DePaula for all of your automotive needs. DePaula Auto Group. Chevrolet, Mazda, Ford, and pre-owned. DePaula.com.
Hello, everybody. Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy here with your DePaula Play of the Day for Capital OTB from beautiful Saratoga Race Course. We're going to be giving you our plays of the day on Fridays and Saturdays throughout the summer with an added bonus of 2 extra picks this year because of the extra week. In the 3 years that we've been doing this for Capital OTB, we've shown a flat bet profit each of those 3 years with our selections for the bankroll team, and we hope to get the Grand Slam this summer. On a very difficult card to handicap, most of the races don't have any first draft eliminations. We're going to go with what we see as being the KISS, Keep It Simple, Stupid horse on the day. Race 8, number 5, Reagan's Wit. This chestnut chap has missed the exacta but once in 5 outings, and that came when getting a frightening trip into Transylvania. He went from a 72 to an 81 by a speed figure from his first start on firm ground to the second one, so who knows where the ceiling is in that regards. He definitely doesn't need to take his track with him, as he makes his 6th different start from 6 different zip codes, doing well in just about all of them. Should be no worse than 3rd in this spot, once again, which bodes well for the bankroll team. So once again, our Capital OTB DePaula Play of the Day from Saratoga is in race 8, number 5, Reagan's Wit. Have a fun and safe Independence Day. Enjoy the day of the races, and God bless America.
And they're off. Chevrolet, Mazda, and Ford right now at the DePaula Auto Group. Take off the savings you need on the vehicle that you want. New cars, trucks, SUVs, hybrids, and all electric. Delivered with DePaula savings. And the DePaula Auto Group has hundreds of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Remember, DePaula can service any make and model and has over 100 service bays. So buy DePaula. Think DePaula for all of your automotive needs. DePaula Auto Group. Chevrolet, Mazda, Ford, and pre-owned. DePaula.com.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So 7 favorites yesterday, a co-second choice, but 3 prices. So
That's a good day.
That's
Gives everybody their shot.
a lot of variety in there. And as it turned out, it was a glorious day and it's a glorious morning. So let's keep the ball rolling. You know, I say this, you know, I often, you know, send the picks in ahead of time for scheduling. So you saw the racetrack yesterday. We'll see the racetrack today. The opener, 1 mile. The rails were down yesterday. 3-year-olds, fillies, entry-level allowance.
I have it 1, 4, 5, and 6. I'll put Miss Motley on top, going out for Chad Brown. 3rd start of the season. I like that. Nice improvement. Start 1 to start 2. First start of the season, went through the first level allowance, then followed up also in a first level allowance. I have to go back and look at the because this is a first level allowance as well. I have to go back and look at conditions of the situation, maybe related to the purse, I would assume, because you're looking at this, which is number 1, yada yada. But anyway, Miss Motley, 3rd start of the season, won the first start of the season, close up 2nd last time, but the buyer number improved nicely. So a little improvement in the number, start 1 to start 2. Should be primed for a good effort in here. 2nd slot, we'll go with Awesome Check. Also, 3rd start of the season for Horacio De Paz. Also, a couple of nice races, a close-up 2nd to start things, and then a decent 3rd in Stakes Company last time. And Vino Rouge in the 3rd spot. Also, 3rd start of the season for Tony Dutrow, off a couple of decent little efforts so far. So kind of similar scenarios through the first 3. Diamond Vega is interesting, and that's Chad Brown, and you get Irad Ortiz on board and offering up a little bit of a price on the morning line. I have that one at the bottom of my mix, but as I say, as the other Chad becomes intriguing, certainly. But for me, kicking off the early pick 5, 1, 4, 5, and 6.
An intriguing race for me, based on a horse that is not listed on that screen. I'm going to be watching what John Velasquez does with the 8 here. From an outside tough post position with a horse who has maybe the best speed in the race. And I say that in a way of not, I think he has the best speed, but I think it's so clear the best speed that he might be able to get over the hedge more easily done than usual. By that, I mean using less energy to get what I believe to be a favorable position on the turf course. And obviously he's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. He's been in our front windshield for 35 years doing great work and pretty smart guy. So my opinion is that Patella, the 8, that Johnny V is just going to really, and I don't think he's going to have to be all out to get over and to lead them up the backstretch, maybe with some air between him and the next. And that's dangerous, as pointing out yesterday. And the horse is 10-1, which is very intriguing. You can learn things by even horses you don't even have in your mix. So I sent these picks in yesterday, and I would tell you right now, I have, Irad Ortiz, who puts his horses in great position, but Diamond Vega might be against the course. I can't tell you how many horses I had yesterday, Seth, that they ran second and third, and I never thought they had a chance. They were just back, and there were points that I thought they had good position, never a threat. But Diamond Vega was by selection. I'll stick with it. I could see her running well enough, but she might be against it. For second, Miss Motley down from inside, the other Chad Brown horse for me, and then Vino Rouge. They're taking blinkers off. The one thing I like about your horse, Seth, awesome check. Once again, I said yesterday how the first 2 days I thought the card awesome check has the running pattern that I love. Off the layoff, good effort, slight bounce down, and then you go forward. I think it's a terrific opener on multiple levels, and I'm going to be very intrigued to see how John Velasquez rides the 8. 6-1-5.
Kickoff stakes action, race number 2 this afternoon. Again, found it interesting that it's Belmont at Saratoga, but the Sanford and Schuylerville are in the mix this weekend. But race number 2 is the Schuylerville for the 2-year-old fillies, going 3/4 mile.
Equibase does not agree with you. They call this Saratoga. We just can't get it. Wasn't it, I don't know, about 10 years ago when they ran the Schuylerville, like the 3rd race on opening day, which was,
oh, well,
I mean, but here it is, the second race. The day is probably coming. We've had, what was it, last year? The Queen's MG, $100. So I think we've had a maiden win. We're going to have a first-time starter someday. The game has changed radically. I'm 163, and I'll tell you where this falls for me is I think I'm competitive in this race, and this will sound silly perhaps, but I'm the veteran in the group, and I like that. And I'm down inside, and I have early speed. I'm going to take my chances. Luis Saez, pretty darn good at his job. So Evolution from the rail, my top pick in the Schuylerville. For second, the other side of the starting 8, Simone, George Weaver's runner, debuted at just about 3-1, hit the board, makes the second career start. And then, Gary could test it, do it again. Bei Yaopan making the career debut. And I think it's a player in here. Hasn't Yaopan got off to a good start as a stallion? You're dialed into that so well.
I don't think phenomenal, but certainly okay.
No.
I have it 4, 5, 1, and 2. I put my sweetheart on top, Mark Cassie, a Flame Away. Flame Away's a win early type of sire and lived up to that in the career debut with a nice win down at Churchill. They come up. They have a bullet workout in tow. Frankie Dettori on board. If he wins, and not every race he wins, but a stakes race like this, wait for the anticipation and the roar of the crowd. If he gets the flying dismount, which I don't think would be out of the question if he got a win in a stake in the first couple of days of the meet. But I put my sweetheart on top, Miss Magical in the second spot, George Weaver trainee that is still a maiden, but I thought put in a decent little effort in the debut back on Belmont Stakes weekend up here at Saratoga. So I'll put that one in the mix. And then Evolution, again, coming up from Gulfstream most recently. And Gulfstream has a kind of a salty little early season 2-year-old program. And so I'm always a little bit intrigued by those types. Most recently worked down at Palmetto. So they're coming up specifically to take their shot here. I appreciate that as well. In the second, the Schuylerville kick off an early pick 4, 5, 1, and 2.
Before you put it away, you know what I find it's not shocking, but it's eye-opening to me that King Solver, who is run by far the highest buyer speed figures, is on neither of our lists. And that's the type of thing that, a maiden doesn't matter, right? That figure is supposed to be gigantic in this race, right?
Yeah, I have it down in the 4th spot, and I looked, but, it was a 5th place finish. And again, I say I use the buyer speed figures, but they have to be a tool in the toolbox, and combining the 5th place finish. And also, these are all lightly raced, so there's always some blue sky ahead for all of these.
I agree.
Here, so we'll see how it works.
And I'll just say that, to me, we had the horse a couple years ago, the Mark Cassie runner, who was off of these one performances. They're almost always a bet against for me for 2 reasons. One is the price, and secondly is the regression. And I think it's, you got a young horse. It's I agree. My point is, I agree with you. I hope they bet King Solver, because if they come back, it's going to be a bad price and take some of the money. On to the third race, 6.5 furlongs. Seems to be a popular sprint distance first couple of days.
Really popular. I don't think when I was a kid, you never saw 6.5.
No. The hopeful was about it. And I think many people are very suspicious of figures made at 6.5 furlongs and teletimers.
In that conversation, I think we've had this conversation before, you and I. Keelan, I cannot figure out 7 furlongs or about 7 furlongs.
Well, that 184 feet, you're like, their tradition, I guess. I agree. I don't understand why they run those. I think it's 184 feet, but 6.5 on the third, right outside our front window.
6.45 and the 1 entry, War Stride on top. Nice win 2 back, then moved up a little bit. Still ran a pretty good second behind Baby Yoda. And so that was a little bit notable as well, because I think Baby Yoda has never lived up to that early number, but I think Baby Yoda still has had a pretty good career. And so, again, the second to that one counts for a little something. Shadow Dragon in the second spot. Speaking of Baby Yoda, Bill Mott trainee, coming out of a couple of wins in the last 3 starts, bookending a third place finish, albeit they were back in January, February, and March. So a little bit of a layoff to overcome, but it is Bill Mott. The last workout was okay. Magnolia Midnight in the third spot, hasn't been seen since the middle of April, but has plenty of early speed. And I just kind of looking at the rest of the field, I would think this will be the catch me if you can horse, and that's always dangerous. In the third, 6.45 and the 1 entry.
107 and 2. Must be the Breeders' Cup Sprint favorite. Going 6.5. I mean, it's just whatever it is, whether it's speed figure makers, teletimers. It's I just this is a perfect example of how Seth and I differently come about. The race goes through War Stride, but Magnolia Midnight has won a couple times at Saratoga. Magnolia Midnight has to run a little bit better. War Stride has to, regress a little bit. But I think there's going to be a big swing in the odds. I think War Stride will be very attractive.
Buyer figures.
And Baby Yoda
War Stride is going to take.
Yeah, I mean, War Stride might be even money. I might be 5-1. I like my chances in that spot. And then I have Shadow Dragon for third off of the second day of spring freshening, 5-6-4.
All right, we'll head to break number 1 here on this Friday morning, Independence Day. Hopefully you're enjoying a day off, maybe planning a little barbecue, sit by the pool. If you are, fire up OTB TV during the afternoon and watch. If you're thinking about, hey, maybe I want to celebrate up at Saratoga, it is a gorgeous day, so keep that in mind as well. We'll be back to talk about more of it right after this.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 103-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 103 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
The only thing better than watching the races is watching your own racehorse. With nearly 20 years experience in the racing industry, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program enables everyday fans to become part owner of a thoroughbred for far less than you might think, with all the ownership perks at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, and other great tracks. Experience the thrill and lifestyle of owning your own thoroughbred racehorse. Learn more at bonaventurestables.com.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Welcome back. You are watching the Handicappers Report. Seth Merrow, Anthony Mormino here on day 2 at Saratoga. And again, Independence Day. So hopefully you're kicking off a good day with the family and whatnot. And hopefully we can all make some money as the day progresses to make it even more fun. And we'll give you some ideas in race number 4, maiden specials, 8.5 furlongs on the grass.
Now, maybe the jockey is in this race that said, I purposely missed the break.
Oh.
Okay. 682. I mean, is he coming? I mean, that's why I've been kind of dancing around it here.
Well, I mean, I would assume. Why not? Why not?
Okay.
He's listed.
Yeah. He's had an interesting week.
Yeah, really. And I will say, I had a chance last fall when we were up at Woodbine to talk to him after he won a race up there. That Woodbine Mile Day.
Okay.
Interesting guy, interesting jock. Is he the whole interview, he comes at it from like a trainer's perspective. It was a whole different, he's an interesting guy.
Yes. And I will say what he released as a statement, I thought was pretty good. Usually I poo-poo them, but I guess I believe them. 682 here for me, and your lordship making the United States debut, getting Lasix, Earl Mack, but my Lupita Vega, who is, just one of the international, other than Dubai and a couple others, good things. As a stallion going a mile and 16, we'll see how the turf plays. Remember, this is the inner. Rails are down. Inside might be good. We'll see. Making the 5th career start, first since April 22nd. 2 as a juvenile, 2 so far as a 3-year-old for second. Chad Brown sends out the 8 for the 2nd career start. Love the debut at Mom. And I think even if you were slow to the dance, I think many people now don't downgrade Todd Pletcher or Chad Brown's Monmouths runner then coming over here. I don't think people, look at them as second stringers or anything. It's just, a matter of space or other things.
If you feel that way, keep thinking that way, because that just boosts the value on. Because they definitely are well met when they come up here.
I believe so. And for second, Roger, Chad Brown's other runner, making the first start since February 1st. Spendthrift Farm runner. As I teasingly said late April when I was down in Lexington, said hello to Into Mischief. Authentic had back-to-back winners yesterday at the Spa. Oh, nice. And he's the son of Into Mischief, and he's off to a very solid start. He's in the shadow of his dad, but if he weren't in the shadow of his dad, I think he'd be getting even more.
The one sire note for me yesterday, Rock Your World, who got off to a really good start as a debut sire this year. The Rock the World I jumped on yesterday did not, and even, these sires get off to good starts. They don't all win.
Do you remember what I don't want to put you on the spot. what was he, 3 for 6 or some? Well, do you remember
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
was?
Yeah, it was 3 for 6.
I think Forrest Camp was 5 for 7 one time when his 2-year-old started.
Well, Vacoma got off to a really good start just a couple of years ago.
Okay, I know you like Vacoma
that
too.
was a
Yep.
pretty good
Okay, who do you like here?
9, 8, 4, and 7 for me. Vintage Pheno hasn't been seen since last October, but goes out for Linda Rice. I thought the numbers were pretty good last year. Linda can have them ready off a little bit of a layoff. She got up to a good start yesterday, so I tilt slightly in that direction. Duran goes out for Chad Brown, Peter Brandt and Company off a debut down at Monmouth that again was okay, and I am not discounting those Monmouth runners. So I think this one is going to be interesting as well. And Organite going out for Dave Donk at 10-1. I thought nice improvement start, one to start two. Third start of the career. Seemed to appreciate the turf last time. Dylan Davis on board. He can get some prices up here as we saw last year. I think Organite is very interesting. Your Lordship, I'll be interested. It's now going out for a Grand Motion, the European runner. I mean, back in the day, it's changed for me the last 5 to 8 years maybe. Back in the day, you would absolutely land on a European transplant on the grass here. The last few years for me, it hasn't been quite as potent. But I'm in the fourth race, 9, 8, 4, and 7.
On to the fifth, back to the dirt. We must be running 6.5. Claimers 2L.
6, 7, 5, and 4 up at Ranger Battalion on top. Claimed, it's a Linda Rice claim. Jose Ortiz hops on board. Claims and drops. Again, I'm usually concerned, but we saw some droppers. It was a mixed bag, but we saw, Linda make some drops yesterday successfully. And this one comes in off a nice maiden breaker for 50. Now comes back for a 30 N2L. I think it's going to be a square fit in here. So I'll land there, Frantic in the second spot. Nice maiden breaker, 2 back, and then tried Saltier Company last time. I think it's going to appreciate this level much, much more. I'll look for a rebound to a solid effort there. Would not be a shock at all. Irad Ortiz hops on board. Awesome Empire. Going out for Greg Sacco. And another one that's getting a little bit of class relief off the latest effort that I think will, again, be beneficial. Interesting also, blinkers off today. Move forward with the blinkers being added 2 starts back. The first couple of starts without the blinkers weren't quite as confidence instilling, but I thought the equipment change might be a little bit intriguing, shake the horse up a little bit. Fifth race, 6, 7, 5, and 4.
And I wish I could remember who put on X. They did the arithmetic that Linda Rice had claimed the horses
for
I saw 240 and ran them for 90. Now, how about adding this? Ranger Battalion. It's the one time I think trainers would be honest and tell me how much of a gut punch it is when you claim the race, claim a horse in the maiden claimers, and they get the W. It seems impossible for me to think that you would believe that whatever equation you had before can still work.
Although in this instance, it was 30 cents to the dollar. They had to think it was a possibility it was going to shake out that way.
What horse you talking about?
Ranger Battalion.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 cents to the dollar last time.
30?
Am I 90. Yeah, I was too far away, I guess.
That's what I was implying.
Still,
that's what I was implying.
It was
not that you can't read, but that
it's still. I mean,
I mean, you know what? That's an interesting question. That is a great point. That why would you dip? I mean, wow, you must have real big high side figure, and this horse is probably going to win the race, and I'm not going to have that. Except that is an excellent thought that I missed. Swing and a miss on my part. Home run for you. That is an excellent question. Now I think
you're right. You don't want them to win, but
absolutely not.
But if you're looking and it's 4 to 5, you have to figure it's a good
now
shot.
Here's the other thing: you have to put the claim in. I mean, they knew the horse was going to get bet, but what do you have to put the claim in? An hour before the race?
That's a good question.
You have to submit it, but I mean, and I don't know this. I didn't have this on but the horse might have been, 7 to 5 on the morning line.
Isn't it that far ahead? Because I'm thinking, don't a lot of these folks say, I went out, looked at him in the paddock, looked good, and then went into the office. I think they do that.
Gotta get an answer there.
Yeah.
All right. I'm, the race goes through the 6. I mean, it's, first time versus winners, but the right level. And then you're like, what happens if you lose this horse? Like, and it doesn't win the race. It's like you paid 50. Oh my God. The race goes through, Roger Battalion, based on the most recent effort down at Aqueduct. And I went a different direction. Breaking from the far outside is the 1A Western Wolf. This was a $16,000 claim. Has been running in open allowance races. That's at Finger Lakes. But this is going to be, you don't say this very often, but this is a more reasonable spot. And I was thinking, the good speed from the outside, one of those things for Chris Elliott, just, go on the engine, get to the front and improve your position. Hope at 8-1. Swift Bank, they had blinkers, first time in for a tag in the second career start. Won on debut at 6-1 at Finger Lakes. And then Roger Battalion, which the race goes through, 1A, 3, and 6. This is a perfect example, Seth, how the race is really, I have a Finger Lakes exacta. That would be somewhat unheard of 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
That, somebody could come in and put over a horse, but that would be about the best you could figure.
6th race this afternoon, a restricted maiden special. But again, I will note, we saw it happen yesterday.
Could it happen from the rail today?
Yeah, the New York breds get in here, and they don't have to be have purchased for that.
Now, here's a question.
Price.
Will there be a little uproar?
I wonder. I thought exactly the same thing.
Be like,
there. Oh, it's a restricted, but I'm going against the $500,000 horse. How does that work?
There's a good chance you won't
the
get
$500,000 horse who ran away with it.
There's a good chance you won't get 3 or 4 of them in a race because there's probably just not that many out there. But you'd be like, wait a second, geography? I'm now getting beat by geography. Yeah. So right from the rails, the chance here.
5.5 on the turf.
Yeah. 4.37 for me. I think the melon, they were at 18 feet. I think the rails were up. I'm 4.37. Seth has one of them. Just guessing here. And Tom Morley sends out Lawyer Mason, Dylan Davis, quality works coming into this. And I've said this before that I just got on a train where I'm not very interested in the most recent work. It's the ones 2 or 3 back, or even more so. An offspring of Tiz the Law, I'm on board. For second, it's a New York bred who sold for 70. So they kind of, and then number 3 for Kevin Rice, who was, that family has helped out a lot. I'm just taking a flyer. This is just based on, the Rices coming in and doing very good work here. Then first time starter number 7, Santini, a George Weaver running. Munnings, who I've talked about before, where Spicetown, an unbelievably good stallion himself, sent out 3 sons, which is, like the next level of your grading as a stallion. And Money's been very good. We'll see how George Weaver has him on debut. 4.37.
I did use the rail horse. 2, 1, 7, and 4. Now you see me, now you don't. Again, gets in here despite having been purchased right across the street. Facing Tipton last year for $425,000, but a New York bred by Good Magic. Good Magic so far this year, 23 first-time starters, only 3 winners, but 5 seconds. So 8 exacta finishes out of 23 first-time starters this year. Dan produced 3 siblings, 1 in the second start, 1 in the third start. I thought there was win early, top and bottom here. And again, given the scenario, I'll use that one on top. I have the plain one. Again, the 1A is out on the outside as a main track only, but the plain one, Irish Goodbye. I like Cairo Prince as a win early sire. Last year, 57 first-time starters, 10 winners, 5 seconds, 9 thirds. So good numbers there for the sire. First foal from the dam, but the dam herself won her career debut. It's Brad Cox. Makes sense. Irish Goodbye in the second spot. And Santini in the third spot. First-time starter from George Weaver, who can have them ready. One of 3 siblings was called Renee's 6, 4th, then a couple of seconds, then a couple of wins. So I thought talent shown early in the career for one of the siblings. So for me, in the 6th, 2, 1, 7, and 4.
Before you go, number 9, Essentially Fast. Is that Evening Attires Connections?
I think, yeah, you might be right. I'd have to look it up. But
Horse, what do you run about 80 times?
yeah,
Had to make millions.
well, Pat Kelly, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
20,
And his father. I think.
02, 01, right?
Yeah,
2002,
That sounds right.
2003,
Yeah.
etc. All right, take a quick break. When we come back, more. Oh, the late pick 5 from the spa.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops, my bad. Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
And welcome back. Race number 7, 6.5. We seem to be like, like the old needle on the record, stuck it or something, but 6.5. And I'm intrigued to see. I'd be interested to know why, because a lot of times the racing office, they take input from the trainers, what we want. But this is very unique, 6.5 maidens.
Top of the page, I have written lots of potential in here. I think this is a race that could produce some interesting runners going forward. I have 2, 5, 3, and 6 as my selections. Apelta on top for Todd Pletcher. The Dam started her career second, then 3 wins. Siblings, 3 siblings to run, 3 first-time starters. That means they all won in their debut effort. So that's really what attracted me. Authentic, you mentioned that one earlier. Good sire of win early types. Not jumping off the page necessarily, but good enough to think. You combine that with what the Dam does. Todd Pletcher, nice workouts. I'll put Apelta on top. Second spot, Sabito. This one has a sibling called Obligatory that you might remember from Mott. 4th in debut, won the second start, and went on to become a Grade 1 winner. So I thought that was intriguing. Speightstown, a good sire of win early types. So Sabito in the second spot. And then Shadow Banking, it's Chad, it's Klarovich. I always think that team is worth watching early on. The lone racing sibling was 5th in debut, won the second start. We'll see if this one can live up to that older sibling. Fort Nelson's also interesting to me. The Dam 2009 winner, the Go for Juan, might be getting a little long in the tooth, but has produced some nice runners, including Lake Avenue and Marking. So Fort Nelson is going to be worth taking a look at as well. 7th race for me, 2, 5, 3, and 6.
I was thinking when we said Obligatory, I was wondering, much of the success was at Churchill Downs, a sprinter, right? A sprinter, a turned sprinter. Seth put, wide open. Seth's top pick from the rail, $500,000, authentic, could be any kind. I'm 6'5", as you can see, the Fort Nelson Godolphins runner on debut. I'll just give you a little insight for me. The layoff notwithstanding, that debut, Seth, I can't tell you how much I love them. Where you show me a little bit, and then I'm saying run worse, because you've tipped your hand at 7-1. I think there's some ability there. Now, that race was October 12th, so multiple things I have no idea about what may or gone wrong, but I'm taking Fort Nelson on top for second. The Judd Mott runner for Bill Mott, Sabito, and then for third, part of the entry scheduled to break for the number 4 post position, Chad Brown's Worthy Charge, a Liam's Map. But like I said, I left out the Into Mischief, the other half of the entry. I left out Seth's Authentic on the inside, and it's just a fun race. 6-5-1.
Yeah, these are 3-year-olds and up, so this isn't a typical potential 2-year-old race at Saratoga, but these horses have a little potential coming out of this, I would think. All right, the 8th race today, more stakes action. It's the Manila Grade 3 event, $200,000 up for grabs. They will go a mile on the grass.
My annual take a shot at the Manila. To me, was the greatest turf horse this country's ever produced. The only conversation I accept is Secretariat, and Manila didn't get into the Hall of Fame until like his last eligible year. I mean, it's just amazing. And not only that, this is a young race. They don't put it in anymore. But Seth, I'm going to guess 10 or 12 runnings. Already had 2 breed. It's finally a graded race a couple years ago. Already had 2 Breeders' Cup winners out of it. So, and these are 3-year-olds. So, pretty good stuff here. Going the mile on the inner. I think it's a wide open race. I mean, you have to get through Zulu Kingdom, who Seth has on top, and I'm taking an absolute flyer onto Capitol Hill. That, as I was watching the racing yesterday, I saw my chances of Capitol Hill winning this race lessen and lessen and lessen, like just flying away. But I'm here to stick with it. Maybe I get a big pace meltdown, which is what I need. But the turf course might help one of those pace setters, and that's what I'm up against. But the race goes through. Zulu Kingdom, on paper, 5 for 6 lifetime. Might get a turf course that's helpful to forward running position. And then Tiz Dashing going out for a Barkley tag, I think is a big fly in the ointment here. But 8-4-2 in the Manila.
4, 5, 10, and 2. I also think the Saratoga runner is intriguing in here off that nice bullet workout. But I'm not with you on wide open. I'm going to exact up Zulu Kingdom and Reagan's Wit.
I guess after Zulu Kingdom.
Yeah, kind of stand out. Reagan's Wit to me is second best. But again, as you say, the pace scenario might be interesting given what we saw yesterday. But I have it 4, 5, 10, and 2. Zulu Kingdom for Chad Brown. Comes out of the nice Wind Derby weekend down at Churchill, 5 for 6. Reagan's Wit goes out for Cherie DeVoe, who's having a really nice season, obviously, at the various venues, but goes out for our friends at West Point, also owned in part by her husband, David and Gordo. Jose Ortiz back on board after a nice win Preakness weekend in the James Murphy down at Pimlico. I think this one in good form and very solid as well. And again, it's that subdivision I like quite a bit, the 3-year-olds on the turf. We get a little extra jolt of that today as well. But I think these two are really solid players in the division. Third spot, I will take a look at Straight Cash, who might be a little bit interesting with only one start under the belt. And as I'm saying this, scratch that, because I do have a note next to it. Straight Cash is noted. I mean, check scratches for official, but it was out on Twitter yesterday. I think Straight Cash is actually a scratch. So I have
pretty sure Flying Mohawk is out of the next race.
4, 5, and 2.
Are you familiar with the ownership story behind Manila?
No.
It was a phony. It wasn't really Bradley T. Shannon.
No.
It was not Noriega. Who's the guy that ran the Philippines in the middle 80s? The white Marcos.
Milton Marcos
had all those shoes and everything.
Yeah.
But that was the real owner of Manila.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a little. It was out there pretty much, but it was. You never saw the Bradley T. Shannon Silks again. On to the 9th race, Grade 1, 3-year-olds going a furlong farther than they do in the Manila.
6, 5, 8, and 4. But you're right, Flying. Didn't they say college?
This is one of the few times I feel absolutely certain before it becomes official. Flying Mohawk is scratching from this race, and we hope he recovers nicely.
So 6, 5, and 4. Final gambit on top. This one's interesting. Tried the Kentucky Derby after getting the points via the Jeff Ruby Stakes stake. Went into the
Kevin
Derby.
Cox's top pick.
And Yeah, that's right. Wound up running an okay fourth.
Yes,
there.
he did.
Followed that up in the mat win and ran fourth behind East Avenue and Burnham Square. But the prior races on synthetic and turf, I think, signal that this horse is going to be interesting getting back to the grass today. So Final Gambit on top, test score in the second spot. Nice win, 2 back in the Transylvania at Keeneland. Then in the American turf at Churchill, ran second behind Zulu Kingdom. So you might get a barometer on this one through Zulu Kingdom earlier. And then New Century also could be interesting for Brendan Walsh, third in the American turf behind test score and Zulu Kingdom. So 6, 5, and 4.
To me, Seth, let's say this is a 7-horse field. I have 6 of them live in here. Flying Mohawk is out to me. Early adopter will have to. That's a little bit of a Chad Brown, so it's not impossible. So at the end, after head scratching for a while, I'm 3-5-7. Luther, 2 races back, one of the great mile races in the world, got beat less than a length and a half. And my rule of thumb with Europeans is they can always go a furlong farther. And I'm with Luther, especially if I get 6-1. Test score for second, I think, is mighty good in this spot, and it will be heck to pay. And then World Beater, a big price in here, but on a good roll. Beat winners first time in stakes action for Riley Mott. But I think the Belmont Derby is a terrific horse race. 3, 5, 7.
All right, let's head to a quick break, and then we'll come back and wrap things up on this Friday morning, looking at Friday afternoon. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 103-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 103 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. Let's jump into race number 10 this afternoon, 1.25 miles, the Suburban Grade 2 event, 1.25 miles, the trip.
Boy, my point of reference here was I was against Locked. They haven't put up your thing, so I don't know if
I also am slightly against.
And for those who have long memories and everything, yes, it was my Kentucky Derby pick a year ago, and only because we're going to get a big price at a race that I think is wide open after Locked. I am 6, 7, and 4 in here. Anna Marie, the distance I'm not worried about. I have to throw out the Travers, and I feel comfortable doing that, Seth, because the horse didn't run until March after it. So, I'm just taking it out with a grain of salt. And then, what was it, 2 days before the Derby, won the Isaac Murphy. I think was that Thursday? I think it was Thursday. So we're in good form. I was a believer before at a distance. Anna Marie in a huge upset in the Suburban. Antiquarian is my second pick. In my opinion, Seth, the race for me goes through Antiquarian because but it draws an outside post with a running style that is different than my horse. So I have to use a little early energy. And then I have Locked for third, And the old idea is, I guess if he runs back to the big cap, this race will be over early. But I'll take my chances as per usual. So 6, 7, 4.
I think this one is competitive. I have an 8, 4, 7, and 2. Awesome Aaron on top. Just a horse that's in good form over the past couple of starts, a couple of triple-digit flyer wins, including the Pimlico Special. So I'll tilt slightly in that direction. Locked with the series of triple digits that ended with the 4th place finish in the Ali Sheba. I was willing to take a slight chance against. And as you mentioned, Antiquarian, we have Don Little from Centennial Farms coming up top of the hour. We'll talk a little bit about Antiquarian. I can see this one running very well and getting it done this afternoon. 3rd start of the season off a couple of good starts so far. Nice second in the Blaine behind Mystic Dan last time. So I would think that one is very live in here as well. I think, and Disarm, who you mentioned, I think is
ran big last year up here. I think, mile quarter might be,
these, but 8, 4, 7, and 2.
Terrific race. Nice, as you said yesterday. Nice to see the Suburban on Independence Day. Wrapping it up, the Harvey Pack, 5.5 on the turf.
9, 6, 3, and 5. I will put number 9, Bring the Band Home, on top, and that is my Dark Horse play of the day for today. Brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga. Dark Horse and Impressions, worth a visit right across the street. If you're up in Saratoga, stop by and say hello. The Dark Horse play of the day, number 9, Bring the Band Home. Comes up from a couple of starts, most recently at Gulfstream. They were in April and May. A 5th, followed up by a close-up near miss last time. 5 furlongs on the turf, missed by a neck with a 94 buyer. I'm looking at that as signaling in good form for Mark Cassie. The latest workout was okay. I think this one could be very live at a decent little price. 2nd spot will go with Works for me. Comes in off a nice win Belmont Stakes weekend, sprinting on the turf right here at Saratoga, and Surveillance in the 3rd spot. Linda Rice trainee, mostly dirt in the last few starts, but does have turf starts that I think validate taking the shot here. So 9, 6, 3, and 5.
As a public handicapper sitting in this seat, I don't pick horses this way, but it would be so much karma for Axelm to win this race. I am 6, 5, 1 in the finale.
All right. We will, again, just give you a quick reminder coming up the promos. Today, Clubhouse Racebook, there's a win-a-bet contest, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Tomorrow, King of the Hill contest, and also the Bounty Bet tomorrow, Saturday, which will focus on the late pick 5 here at Saratoga, and Sunday, Knockout Challenge. Don't forget, entries are open for the DePaula Play of the Day team. Go to capitalotv.com, click on the promotions link, look for the appropriate graphic, put your name in. We will select the teams. I believe it closes on Sunday, so you still have a little time to potentially sign up for that. And once again, top of the hour, Don Little will join us from Centennial with the Antiquarian and the Suburban. We will also be joined by Tom Amello with some handicapping discussion and a little preview of some of the action. And Kate Masterson, director of the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, will give us a little bit of a lineup of what's coming up this season across the street at the Museum of Racing.
That's it.
That is it.
That's it. You stay, I go.
All right.
All right.
I like it.
This has been the Handicappers Report, brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.